to Truth or Politics. I'm your host, Darlene Price, and welcome. We got some new watchers tonight. We want to welcome you on board. We're going to try to stay live on Facebook, but if we suddenly disappear, it ain't our fault. We have a new internet company called Spectrum who has taken over, and to say that they're taking over the smooth transition is an epic fail is an understatement. Okay? And I don't mean to be mean, but they've had some issues today, so our internet's been going off and on. So we hope to do this whole thing live. If it goes off, we will reload this because we're also filming it on a hard camera. You will see it tomorrow on YouTube. We'll post it on YouTube, and then I'll repost it on Facebook. So we're going to try to stay live on Facebook. This is not a call-in show because we have so many topics to cover tonight. I humbly apologize. We're not going to do a call-in show. So we will do another call-in show, but we're going to try to cover several topics tonight. We're going to start off with, and I want to apologize because I have a cough drop in my mouth, and I know we're not supposed to talk with stuff in your mouth, but I've got really bad allergies, and unless you wanted me to cough through this whole thing, please forgive me for having a cough drop in my mouth. Okay, we're going to start off here tonight. I posted this a couple days ago. And I'm going to read it because this is going to be for television people too. We're not only on YouTube and Facebook, but we're also on television, local cable access television. We hope. They're having problems with Spectrum too, so we may or may not be on television. We hope by tomorrow night this will be aired on television. So the problem with television is you can't upload documents. So a lot of this I'm going to have to read the documents so the TV people can understand what's going on. I posted a piece, it's an op-ed piece, and it's entitled, Are Kentucky's Evidence Rooms the Wild Wild West of the Criminal Justice Process? And I'm going to read this, and as I go through it, you'll see I've posted some documents that go with this, and we'll try to get to them too, and I'm going to move to this rather quickly. The fictional character Sherlock Holmes was often quoted as saying, follow the money. This, of course, was based upon the long-established assumption that one could actually follow a chain of evidence, a money trail that would lead Holmes to discover the bad guys. But what if that all-important evidence was then tainted or lost once it reached the all-important evidence room? What then? Decades of analysis, research, investigation, instruction, and U.S. Supreme Court case law have centered around this very thing, the proper collection and storage of evidence surrounding criminal cases. Entire bachelor degree programs at prestigious universities have centered around chain of custody and evidence collection. Law schools have literally hours and hours dedicated to the importance of this area of law. I know, I have a law degree, and I'm telling you, this is something they hit hard. Moreover, there are literally 5 hit television shows that centered around crime scene investigations. CSI Miami, CSI Vegas, CSI, I don't know where CSI started at, but every city now has a show, CSI. Why, one should ask, is this topic so important? The simplest of answers are, so that the innocent go free and the guilty are made to answer. When the chain of custody of criminal evidence cannot be trusted, the order of a fair and just system is most certainly under attack, and the results are nothing less than dangerous. Dangerous for the innocently accused, and dangerous for victims of crime. Recently in Kentucky, it has become very apparent that there are little to no checks and balances on evidence rooms where this all-important evidence is being stored. Careful research into the Kentucky Rules of Evidence, Kentucky Revised Statutes, the Kentucky League of Cities, KLC, and the Kentucky Association of Counties, KACO, yield that there are no real apparent laws or procedures that are mandated regarding the storage, conduct, and oversight of Kentucky's evidence rooms after evidence has been admitted to said rooms. There are no laws or regulations requiring that an outside independent agency conduct routine surprise audits or inspections of Kentucky's evidence rooms. In 2019, 3 Kentucky State Police commanding officers filed a whistleblower lawsuit against the state and the KSP, claiming they were retaliated against for reporting that troopers were stealing evidence from property rooms. seized from criminal cases. And I posted when I posted this, you can see this article that I got this from. And the article that I got that from was WDRB.com. But there's a bunch of articles on this. A jury in this lawsuit awarded these 3 troopers $900,000 in the whistleblower case. And rightfully so. These troopers were severely retaliated against. And I'm going to break away from this. And I'm going to go into some of the interviews of this. And then I'll come back to this. This lawsuit was filed December 2019, claims that Sergeants Kevin Burton and Mike Grayson, these are 2 sergeants, and Lieutenant Frank Taylor. Okay, so these are some people with some rank, 3 of them, KSP. They told supervisors and prosecutors that evidence was being taken from the Elizabethtown Post property rooms plural, and secure lots between July and November of this year for personal gain by 2 troopers. 3 plaintiffs, the 3 whistleblowers who were tasked with oversight of the property, claimed that they were retaliated against by KSP according to this suit. Now keep in mind, this is the same KSP that's been charged with investigating these other evidence rooms. See where I'm going with that? Burton resigned. This is Trooper Burton resigned under the threat of being transferred. Gary Ants was suspended and Taylor transferred, the suit claims. The men were repeatedly threatened that they would have adverse employment actions taken by them if they continued to report the thefts and inappropriate acquisitions from the evidence room and impound lot, according to the suit. This is Burton says, he took 3 pairs, this one trooper took 3 pairs of Eddie Bauer shoes. The shoes were associated with a fraud case, still open fraud case, and was still actively being investigated. They marked it as destroyed by fire. And this is just great, these troopers taking this stuff. The officer said that they were treated like bad guys for reporting the theft and eventually filed suit. You know, we've lost friends. This is the quoting on the officers. You know, we've lost friends, people we thought were our dear friends of ours, and they've turned their backs on us, Burton said. We wanted them held accountable for what they did, and we're the ones that were evil. And we're the ones that are evil. It makes no sense. Well, all I got to say is Burton and the other guys, I know exactly how you feel. I literally wrote a book on it. It's called U.S. Customs Bordergate, my former agency, United States Customs Service, Bordergate, the story the government doesn't want you to read. I became a whistleblower too. A little bit bigger case, my crooked managers literally allowed 25 to 40 tons of contraband to come into the country. And when myself and my whole team, to include a prosecutor, became whistleblowers, they came after us in a big way. So I know how you feel about this, and my heart goes out to you. I fully understand what you're going through, and it's wrong. It's wrong on too many levels. Okay, back to this. Okay, so just in one county alone, Pulaski County, it has come to light that evidence rooms controlled by the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department, PCSD, and the Somerset Police Department, SPD, have been easily breached and evidence gone missing. And the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department alone, since 2015, pages of evidence and currency have gone missing in numerous criminal cases. This missing evidence involves, but is not limited to, the following. Approximately $25,000, drugs, DNA evidence, all-important DNA evidence. This is what sends people to prison in cases. Weapons, ammunition, spent rounds, and several computers and laptops, just to name a few. Also discovered in the Kentucky State Police investigation that followed was the fact that the master key to the evidence room had been missing, and for how long, nobody knows. What followed in the discovery of this missing evidence was nothing short of shocking. Through information gained from confidential sources and an actual evidence hearing on this very discovery, it was exposed by Truth or Politics that the Pulaski County Sheriff Department evidence room had no type of audit for at least 5 years. Then only when an outsider discovered the missing currency did an audit show that there was much more missing evidence than just currency. A much larger problem that was painfully disclosed in the same hearing was the fact that no one from any objective outside agency was conducting audits of the PCSD evidence room. The Pulaski County Sheriff's Department, for years, was simply allowed to audit and inspect themselves with absolutely no oversight. Further, it was found that even though Pulaski County Sheriff's Department evidence room had video surveillance, the surveillance recordings, which is also evidence, was not properly retained and stored to be used by the investigator to ascertain who and how this evidence went missing. To date, this case has been conveniently closed. No one has been fired and no one's going to jail. This prompted me to question evidence procedures and the handling of evidence in other evidence lockers across the state of Kentucky. Just as I was diving into this readily apparent problem, only weeks after the PCSD missing evidence was exposed, yet another incident in the same county in Kentucky demonstrated yet another breach of security in the Somerset Police Department evidence room. Apparently, a newly retired Somerset Police Department captain was the target of a Kentucky State Police search warrant at his residence in Pulaski County, Kentucky. This warrant was allegedly based upon actual video of said captain entering a temporary evidence room located in the city hall with unauthorized keys and removing evidence. The warrant allegedly yielded a finding of a stolen weapon, suspected drugs. The good news here is at least the evidence room had a video surveillance that the investigators could use to potentially prosecute this captain. Now, if Michael Mann's sitting here with me tonight, if KSB came into our house, or your house is out there, and served a warrant, and they found drugs and a stolen gun, what do you think would happen to you that night? Your happy butt would be put in handcuffs and carted off to jail. Well, they didn't do that to this police captain. And this is another thing that really chaps people's hides, unequal justice, the good old boy program. And let me just say this, because somebody said the other day, he said it kiddingly, let me be clear about something. Let me digress here for a minute. Somebody said, you must hate cops. No, I don't. I was a cop for a lot of years. Most of my friends are cops. Okay, my husband's a prosecutor. My brother's a former retired state police investigator. I don't hate cops. Good, honest cops, hardworking cops, which most of them are, they hate this stuff. Like these poor 3 troopers here. Tried to do the right thing and they got their clocks cleaned, okay? Honest cops hate this. This is why I'm getting all of this information. Where do you think I'm getting this from? Honest cops, insiders, confidential sources are feeding me a lot, not all of it, but a lot of this information. Because they hate it. It makes their job harder. So let's be crystal clear. I hate dishonesty. I hate cronyism, corruption. I hate this kind of stuff, as do most cops. So I just want to clarify that. A search of the Kentucky Revised Statutes, KRS, and administrative rules and regulations in Kentucky have yielded little actual laws, regulations, or objective enforcement from any outside auditing agency regarding evidence rooms in Kentucky. For the most part, evidence rooms all across the state are simply allowed to escape any type of objective outside oversight or audits. Much like the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department, they are simply allowed to audit themselves, or worse yet, escape audit of any type for years on end. I found this to be a most disturbing discovery. What this means is that when police officers testify before grand juries and at preliminary hearings, their testimony regarding this all-important chain of custody and storage of evidence is just blindly accepted as pure and trustworthy. I wonder how many true bills will be handed down by grand juries if they knew ahead of time that evidence rooms could be compromised easily and evidence not only gone missing but potentially altered for prosecution. Surely, in severely compromised evidence rooms like Pulaski County Sheriff's Department, one must wonder what else has transpired, like altering evidence or making evidence disappear in order to falsely release suspects or convict suspects in criminal cases. This is a fair question. This is a question that the state of Kentucky lawmakers and administrators must quickly find an answer to in order to restore faith in the criminal justice system here in Kentucky. This is exactly how innocent people go to jail and the guilty may walk free. Again, I cannot express just how dangerous this gaping black hole in our criminal justice system actually is. Honest cops who work diligently to properly collect and process criminal evidence will suffer when it is exposed in a system that overall security of said evidence may be compromised by a sloppy, negligently run evidence room. Moreover, suspects who cannot afford the best expensive criminal defense attorneys are oftentimes at a severe disadvantage. The element of time is not on their side. These suspects will be assigned a public defender who oftentimes is overwhelmed with too many cases. They simply don't have the time to carefully review and have investigators, like me, dig into these types of cases where the chain of custody of evidence is paramount to any case. There are very good, honest, hardworking public defenders. However, it has been well established that public defenders, more often than not, do not have the funding or time to do what high-paid criminal defense attorneys and firms can do. Recently, a phrase has been coined: you're better off being guilty and rich than being innocent and poor. A case in point is the infamous O.J. Simpson murder case. O.J. Simpson walked free primarily because he could afford the dream team of the best criminal defense attorneys. What happened in that case has now been studied and analyzed by jurisprudence all across the field of criminal justice. These attorneys had the time and the assets to investigate and pick apart the prosecution's case. I am familiar with this case and the Los Angeles Police Department evidence procedures because I worked as a special agent for many years on cases with LAPD. The LAPD's evidence rooms, unlike the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department, actually have they had back then, routine objective outside audits and oversight by the State Attorney General's office. Despite this oversight, holes in procedures were brought to light, and a well-respected police detective who was the finder or collector of evidence in the O.J. case was exposed as a perjurer. Defense attorneys will forever use the coined phrase, "we need to mark firm in the evidence." The dream team was able to mark firm in the evidence in this case because they had the manpower and the time and the assets to do so. This is not what most defendants face when they are entering the criminal justice system. Juries must rely on face value that police officers and evidence rooms are as pristine as they always seem to testify to. As we now have this discovered, crucial evidence may be in jeopardy in Kentucky. There is no real outside agency that conducts routine audits and inspections of evidence rooms in Kentucky. There are no statutes that require this. Perhaps this is why we do not have one, but two embarrassing incidents of breach of evidence in just one county here in Kentucky, and the incident with the state troopers. I have personally verified that at least 5 criminal defense attorneys were actually shocked to learn this. This means that previous criminal cases may have gone unchecked and evidence rooms unchallenged by defense attorneys who reasonably assumed that evidence rooms and the collection of evidence had better checks and balances in the state of Kentucky than they do. So what's the answer? The answer to me is obvious. Our state legislature, that's your state senators and your state reps, they have to come up with some reasonable laws that require routine outside objective inspections and audits of evidence rooms all across the state of Kentucky. This agency can either be controlled under or run either by the State Attorney General's office or the Kentucky State Auditor's office. This newly formed inspection team must only have the responsibility of inspection, oversight, and control of Kentucky's evidence rooms. This is way too important to sparse out this responsibility to an agency that is already handling numerous other types of inspections. This is the only way to ensure that crucial evidence is being collected, stored, and conveyed at trial as the police officers and prosecutors now portray. That really isn't happening. Anything short of this lends itself not only to a great gaping hole in the criminal justice, but also lends itself to compromising the very law enforcement officers who are charged with protecting us from this great gaping hole. Okay, I wrote that and published it pretty much everywhere. Now, back when we exposed the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department and their evidence room being compromised, serious compromise, back on December 1st, 2022, I sent, now keep in mind, this is the case that's been closed after, and we covered this. We did a whole show on this. If you want to watch it, go to YouTube, type in Pulaski County Sheriff Missing Evidence. We did a whole show on this. I'm not going to regurgitate that show. And what we covered was the state police detective who came in and investigated the missing evidence. Either did, in my humble opinion, and I've got a lot of experience in this, one of the worst investigations ever. Either incompetence, absolute incompetence, or he did it on purpose. Okay, that's the only two conclusions I can draw, because it was a sorry, slow, sad investigation. And we went into that whole thing on the previous show. So, I hit Kentucky State Police in Frankfort with an open records request. And I'm not going to, I have posted this open records request with tonight's show. Go to you can see the documents there. I went in through the background of why I'm asking this request, and I'm not going to get into all of that. It goes into, hey, all this evidence is missing. And this is what I asked for. On March 17th, 2015, Detective Daryl Kegley submitted a signed memo to Sheriff Greg Speck regarding evidence. This memo contains a list of evidence that was missing and has a heading of, the heading on this memo says, items missing from evidence. On February 8th, 2021, a memo from evidence custodian John Williams regarding an evidence audit contained an extensive list that was unaccounted for. According to this memo, items missing included cash, electronics, narcotics, and other miscellaneous evidence. On February 10th, 2021, the Pulaski County Sheriff Greg Speck reported only the currency missing to the Kentucky State Police Commissioner. How do I know this? Because I have the police report. He only reported the money. He did not report any of these other evidence stemming from 2015 to now and covered by 2 memos. Nobody did. Until what happened was insiders got me this information, and then there was a hearing. On March 9th, 2021, KSP Detective Keaton, who was assigned to investigate this matter, scheduled 3 polygraphs on March 24th, 25th, and 25th of 2021. The individuals polygraphed were Daryl Kegley, John Williams, and Sergeant Cody Conduff. According to Keaton's report, there were recorded interviews of these polygraphs. Throughout Keaton's investigation, he had meetings with and interviewed the following people: Major Jeff Heacock, the bookkeeper Teresa Burnett, who, by the way, she's the one that found the missing money. And, it begs the question, had an outsider, she's a bookkeeper, as somebody else, had a cop found this missing evidence, would we even know about it? I don't know. Or the missing money. Would that have even been reported? I think the reason that he felt he had to report the missing money is the bank knows about it now. So, begs that's a fair question. Newly elected Sheriff Bobby Jones and Deputy Glenn Bland. These are all people that they interviewed or had meetings with. On November 20th, 2022, I received this response to an open record request regarding a missing canine training evidence kit that was found in Wayne County, a different county, as a result of a warrant. In this response, it clearly no one from the Pulaski County Sheriff's Office bothered to report this to Pulaski County Attorney Martin Hatfield, the Commonwealth Attorney, or the KSP. So not only do you have Pulaski County Sheriff's missing evidence, a memo from 2015, a sheet of missing evidence. Then later on, a couple years later, you have like 4 or 5 pages of missing evidence, plus the money. That was another memo, went to the sheriff. Then, like within weeks, you have this dog training kit, which is narcotics dog training kit. It's lost somehow, and ends up as a part of a search warrant, a narcotics search warrant in another county. And I hit them with open records request, and they say they have no records conducive, Pulaski County. And that they refer me to Wayne County. They're doing an investigation. So what they're saying is, yeah, somehow a dog training kit got lost. These things are controlled by DEA, by the way. Nobody reported it. They're saying they have no documents where anybody from Pulaski County Sheriff's Department where this went missing was ever reported. I only found out about it, again, because of insiders with Wayne County Sheriff telling me, guess what got found here last night? So, it's sad. It's amazing. Oh, by the way, and these dog training kits, my understanding too, are supposed to be, not supposed to be just kept in the guy's car, the handler's car. This is evidence too, sort of. He's supposed to turn that in when he's not training the dog. That's supposed to be under lock and key in an evidence room somewhere also in the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department. And that didn't happen, obviously, because it got lost and ended up in Wayne County. Okay, so based upon the foregoing, I'm requesting the following records. Here's what I requested. This is all the way back on December 1st, so we're almost 2 months later. Please provide the following records of any and all personnel who were polygraphed regarding this issue. I want the recordings and audio and video of the polygraphs, the questions that were asked before, during, and after the polygraph, and the answers given by each person polygraphed. Okay, for you cops out there and you defense attorneys out back there to do criminal cases, you know exactly why I'm asking for that. That's important. Persons polygraphed and any all recordings, audio or video of interviews that were completed after polygraphs. Please provide the following. Any and all records, audio or video recordings of every person interviewed by Mr. Keaton regarding the above attached investigation. Excuse me. Now, the reason I asked for that is he polygraphed 3 people, okay? And we covered this on the show before, and I want to say it again. One of the people he did not polygraph is the newly elected sheriff, Mr. Robert Jones. Okay, if you go back, you'll see that he was the evidence custodian in 2015 where the first page of evidence went missing. Then, off and on, he had access to the evidence room. Now, just because you're running for sheriff at the time, or you're the newly elected sheriff, how does that give you he's a suspect just like everybody else. The sheriff's anybody who had access to that evidence room, I don't care who you are or what your rank is, you should have been a suspect in this case, and you should have been treated equally with Cody Cundiff and the rest of them and being polygraphed. That was not done by the Kentucky State Police. And that raises a red flag to me about the KSP's investigation, if you want to call it that. Okay, I also asked for, please provide any and all written records, notes, memos, reports of every person interviewed by Keaton, that's the investigator, regarding the above attached investigation. Okay, so I hit them with that in December. Now, go ahead.
What did he say about those polygraph tests? About whether it was pass or fail?
Okay, the other 2 pass, Mr. Cundiff failed, and I posted those documents. Okay, I didn't get into, and that's why I asked for the questions. Okay, in fair deference to Mr. Cundiff, I want to see what questions he asked these other people. I mean, if you're softballing these 2 guys over here on questions, but you go after Cundiff, okay, make him more nervous. The polygraphs aren't the most reliable thing either. They're not admissible in court. But a polygraph, if you're a trained, good investigator and you're really doing your job, a polygraph is an interrogation tool. What should have happened is they should have interrogated these guys, polygraphed them, and then interrogated these guys. All of them, not just the select 3. Okay? That didn't happen. Or I'm assuming that didn't happen because he wrote a report, and I've published that report, and those interviews look pretty lame, and hopefully it was a summary. Maybe we'll get more. We'll see. We're almost 2 months later, and the KSP has not coughed up anything. So, here's the emails going back and forth, and you can read these yourself, from KSP on them not coughing up the evidence so far. So I wrote, Dear Stephanie Dawson and Michael Harrison, these are for KSP. In your December 7th email response to my open records request, see attached, you stated that I would receive the records before January 11th, because they had asked for an extension and I gave it to them. The request was sent on December 1st and paid for via check on December 7th. Please give me a date certain that you will turn over these records. It has now been over a month, and more than enough extra time has been granted to your agency. Your prompt attention to this matter is greatly appreciated. If you do not respond in a timely manner, I will be forced to take action with the State Attorney General's office. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Now, I want to say something about the Attorney General's office. This Attorney General, and I know he's running for governor, I'm not campaigning for him, but I'm telling you, I've been doing this for 12 years. We've been doing this here in Kentucky. This is the first Attorney General's office, an Attorney General that's actually held people's feet to the fire and made them turn over records. So rest assured, they don't cough these up or they pull some shenanigans. I'm going to turn this over to the Attorney General's office. And I may do so the next couple of days if they don't cough something up. So here's the response back. Dear Ms. Price, to clarify, KSP stated that it anticipated being able to complete the necessary review and redaction process associated with this voluminous investigation. Okay, voluminous investigation. Well, I've got pretty much the investigation minus what I've asked for. Okay, and if it's going to be voluminous, you better be coughing something up. Okay, on or before January 11th, 2023. But our estimated date of completion, of course, did not include transmission or delivery of the flash drive to U.S. mail. However, please be advised that KSP will send the records to you by certified mail at no additional cost to ensure prompt delivery and receipt of the flash drive. The review and redaction process currently remains ongoing because this case is massive. Now remember this. They're saying this case is massive. It's so massive. In scope, it includes records in multiple different formats, including audio recordings. KSP must convert some of these records to prior to beginning the redaction of the records. They keep saying redacted, which tells me they're going to redact everything, okay? Which if they do, and this is closed, I'm telling you right now, KSP, you're going to get turned over to the Attorney General's office, okay? Because this is just bull hockey. Of records, and is currently in the process of transmitting the new software as well. Also, please note that in addition to 2 weekends, holidays, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I assure you that staff is working diligently, including after hours, to complete preparation of these records for your disclosure to you and to separate requester as close to January 11th as possible. Because a significant volume of documents include protected financial information such as account numbers. Okay, we're not asking for account numbers. I don't want social security numbers. But I'm telling you, you start redacting actual recordings and actual, them interviewing these people on a closed case, you're not going to get by with that. I'm telling you, I'm going to throw you under the bus. I'm going to back the bus up, figuratively speaking, and I'm going to spin the wheels, okay? Okay, so this is their response. I responded right back to them. Thank you for your response. However, you still haven't included a date certain that you anticipate completing this request. Please provide a date as soon as possible. Thank you for your cooperation in this matter. So here we are. Okay, so here we are. What's today's date? 24th. Okay, so I gave them time. Oh, we'll get to you by January 11th. Okay, January 11th comes and goes. I need a date certain. Okay, here we are. It's the 24th of January. KSP still hasn't coughed this stuff up. When I did the show before, referring to the investigator that investigated this, I said it over and over. Look, maybe it's not a cover-up. It looks like one. Okay, KSP, Frankfurt. Maybe it's not a cover-up, but it looks like one. Especially you spend this much time and you cough up nothing, that ain't going to look good. So, heads up, I don't back off. I don't back down. I'm not going away. And we will pursue this. And I am making sure that other press gets this. I'm hoping, I've talked to a person in the Courier Journal. I'm hoping that the Courier Journal does a story on this because it's important. Every big news agency in Kentucky should be doing a story on this because it's dangerous. That's what it is. Okay. So, also we've been really busy with the city of Somerset. As you know, the city of Somerset and our lovely mayor, who's now running for governor, he started and received donations, allegedly, and lots of it. And we posted some of that from the Pulaski County Community Association. Did a pretty good job of doing some researching, and I did some research myself on the City of Somerset, University of Somerset, that he was going to do a private university. I had insiders tell me that tax dollars were spent on this university that now, years later, was never built. He supposedly got donations, and now it's going to be downtown in some building owned by one of his benefactors, this rich guy who's basically pushing his campaign for governor in this building. That's the old bank building downtown. So I hit the city of Somerset with open records request, which basically says, I want to know, is there any tax dollars ever spent on either construction or anything involving this University of Somerset? And this is the response I got back. I'll just read it to you. And they still haven't coughed up any documents. This is from John Adams. You remember our city attorney that I took 6 months, and it took me going to the Attorney General's office. And then and only then did he cough up the records that I've been asking for almost 6 months on the Lake Cumberland incident where Mayor Keck and his cronies are bringing in, now we estimate over 50 million gallons of toxic waste, running it through a defective treatment plant and straight in Pittman Creek, which flows into Lake Cumberland, which flows into the Cumberland River. This was John Adams, the city attorney, who just jerked us around. That's a fair statement. Jerked us around, and I've got the emails to prove that up. So here's the same John Adams answering my open records request. I laughed to keep from crying. Dear Ms. Price, I'm acknowledging your open records request as of January 16, 2023 with this email. If you have not done so, please send the ORR to Nick Bradley, who is a designated keeper of records. I've done that, by the way. Hang on a minute. I will begin on Monday to pull the records together. I'm attending the Kentucky League. He always has an excuse. The dog ate my homework. I'm attending the Kentucky League of City Officials Academy this week and unable to begin the search until next week. Okay. I always give him time. To avoid the possibility of unrealistic expectation, I want to address the assumptions I read into your text of your request. The Cundiff Square, okay, that's where they were supposed to be building this Somerset University area, was not purchased specifically for the University of Somerset initiative. Now, he doesn't say that it wasn't either, not specifically, okay. That tells me that maybe part of it might be. That's why I'm asking you for these records, any taxpayer money. There are some proposed redevelopment and park and area footprint drawings which predate the site being discussed as a place for a University of Somerset. Then I want to see those. I say any and all records involving the Cundiff Center. The downtown TIF has not had an initial project to initiate the management of the funds. There has not been, maybe that didn't happen because you promised the mayor of Somerset that you would let him build a university there. Okay? There has not been any construction on the Cundiff Square site. There has been demolition. Who paid for it? That's what I'm asking you. The city has no specific records on 100 Public Square and 1776 Holdings. The first is a privately owned property and the second is a private entity. Okay, I'm not going to get into why I asked that yet, okay? So he's committed to that. The city does not have any records of the operation of the University of Somerset initiative. Really, you had a city council meeting about it. I know you did, all right? I've got... That's why I'm saying any and all records involving the city of Somerset. Okay, the university entity and its foundation are and were private entities. There is a city council resolution to lease the Cunda Square site to a proposed lease that was never signed. I want that lease. As of this writing, I am unaware of any grants or direct city funds used in the University of Somerset initiative. The pledge or resolution to lease the Cunda site to the University of Somerset is the only use the city assets of the university initiative. Okay? I want to know how much you spent. That's what I'm asking you. I want these records. You just telling me, yeah, there's nothing to see here. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. It ain't working. Cough these up. The use of the land by the potential university, now Campbellsville University Somerset Institute, has great economic development implications for the city. Really? How has it had economic implications for the city when you didn't build it? And then, if you was going to lease it, you held it up, that whole Cunda Square, for somebody else to come in there. Did you not? Okay, I want all these records. That's what any and all records means. If you've got records, the city of Somerset, of any kind, on this Somerset University, especially where tax dollars was spent, and I was very clear about this, you need to be coughing them up. You've already been, and we posted this, the Attorney General's office is already on your butts because you failed and you did not follow the laws of open records request on another issue. So, and you were about to get it on the Lake Cumberland issue. By the way, for those of you new, please go to YouTube, type in Lake Cumberland, What Really Lies Beneath, and watch our 4-hour, 2-part documentary on that, where the mayor and the city council have basically, in my humble opinion, it's a fair statement to say, are potentially poisoning a whole ecosystem and all of us. Okay. So that's on this University of Somerset. Here's what else has happened. Not this past Monday, they just had a city council meeting last night. 2 weeks prior, one of the former city council members, also a lawyer, showed up, and he stands in front, and you can guys go watch this, I shared this. He stood before the city council, and he said in so many words, oh, by the way, I had my drinking water tested because I've been real concerned about this C8 forever chemicals, chlorofluorocarbons, which are deadly. Okay, let me go into this real quick for new people. This is fully explained in the documentary, Lake Cumberland, What Really Lies Beneath. But I'm going to hit it real quick. What do I got on time? 15 minutes. Okay, real quick. These fluorocarbons are called forever chemicals. The EPA this year came out with a full press conference saying there are no safe levels of these forever chemicals in drinking water. Let me repeat that. There are no safe levels. So even a little bit is deadly. They are so carcinogenic. The EPA came out with that. Okay? On or about the same time, the state of Kentucky came out with don't eat the fish. We have posted all of this. Now there's a thing by the state of Kentucky saying Fish and Wildlife, you can't eat the fish in Kentucky because they have these fluorocarbons. Gee, I wonder where that could be coming from. Okay? So, this lawyer, former city councilman, he shows up to the city council 2 weeks ago, and he says, I had my water tests. It cost me $300. By the way, why isn't the city testing for this stuff? And of course, they danced around it again. I've been saying this for a year, trying to get them to test the water. Of course, they don't, because you can't find what you don't test for. They know they test the water, they're going to find C8, and then people are going to say, you people did it. Okay? So this guy tests the water, spends $300. He says, guess what? There are forever chemicals in my drinking water. Very small amounts, but still. Small amounts, the EPA says this stuff's deadly. There are no safe limits. So that happened. Please go to the City of Somerset's Facebook page and watch this meeting. Watch how one of the council members dances around this. Because he asks, why can't you guys test for this? Why can't you? Well, we meet state standards. That's what they've been saying for months now. We meet state standards. Okay, well, state standards suck. You have introduced from 4 different landfills at least, right now, about 50 million gallons. And I'm going to hit them again with how many gallons, okay? I haven't done it yet. Definitely between 35 and 50 million gallons, more towards 50 million gallons of toxic waste that has asbestos and these forever chemicals in it. Absolutely. And neither the city of Somerset or the wastewater treatment plant or the state or the drinking water people, Pulaski County, nobody's testing for either asbestos or C8, which is these forever chemicals. This guy did, and guess what he found? It's in there. Okay, so that should scare everybody to death. It does me. I have family up there. We have property, lake property, and we take the grandkids down to the lake all the time. This is ridiculous that this city council's dancing around this. And I want you to go back and watch these last two meetings. Please take note that all the members of the city council are sitting there with bottled water. They're all sitting there drinking bottled water. Gee, I wonder why. Okay, how many minutes we got left? I'm trying to cover so many topics so
Well,
quick.
it's 15 now.
Okay. Next, I want to cover this. We're going to try to get, and I'm sorry this wasn't a call-in show. I'm going through this real fast. Okay, this was heartbreaking to me. I live over by Cumberland Falls State Park. There is a game preserve behind my house. They turned a bunch of elk loose not far from my house in this game preserve. I love the Rocky Mountains. Anytime I can get to the Rocky Mountains, I go there. One of the things I love seeing in the Rocky Mountains is these elk. It is the most majestic, amazing animals. They're just huge. They're beautiful. And when I heard that they're turning elk back there, I was like a little kid. I felt like, I know this sounds stupid maybe, but I just felt like, gosh, I'm going to have elk in my own backyard. I mean, I was just so tickled to death. And sure enough, it was several weeks after this. One was right on my trail. It was a female, and I got a picture of it. It was just the coolest thing ever. And one time I was back there, and you could hear the bull, because my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, somebody who hunts, that bull elk do the bugling. I could hear a bugle of an elk at a distance. I was just like, I felt like we're the Rocky Mountains now. You know, we have this. I just felt like a little kid with something for Christmas. And then I was heartbroken. There's not enough cuss words that can cover my anger about this. And I just want to read this to you. That some absolute idiot moron, and I can't cuss on television, killed one of these bull elk. And let me just say this. Not only did you break my heart, or a real chance for these things to get a start, because you have to have the bull elks, okay? You ruin the chance for anybody else, for these things to get started. You also ruin the chance for anybody else maybe to ever see these things. You also ruin the chance, perhaps, for legitimate hunters. All you legitimate hunters out there, you should be pissed at this. Excuse my language. You should be angry. Because, you know, if these things had gotten started and taken off, there could have been a legitimate hunt here. You legitimate hunters could have had a draw and actually hunted one of these. This may have eliminated that. So, this was posted. The Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife Resources. Please share. They're offering a $5,500 reward. There was a bull elk poached, and that's what it was, in McCreary County. Conservation officers with the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife Resources are seeking information about a case of poaching a bull elk or beaver on Beaver Creek, WMA, I don't know what that means, in McCreary County. Anyone with information is asked to contact the Kentucky State Police, Post 11 in London, Kentucky. Call Kentucky Fish and Wildlife. Here's the number. Please write this down. 1-800-25-ALERT, A-L-E-R-T. 1-800-25-ALERT. Tips can also be made anonymously if desired by texting KFW Law along with the message to 847-411. Let me repeat that. You can text. It's got it all in caps. KFW LAW along with the message to 847-411. And then in parentheses they've got tip 411. Okay. A department employee found the bull elk carcass on January 13th near Middle Ridge Trail on Beaver Creek Wildlife Management Area, WMA. McCreary County is part of the 16-county elk zone, southeastern Kentucky, but elk hunting is prohibited in this county. The 3x3 bull elk was known to Kentucky Fish and Wildlife biologists. It was also among more than elk translocated to McCreary County last winter from counties within the elk zone to establish a species where the population had not established. Again, there is a $5,500 reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction in this poaching case offered by the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation and Kentucky Elk Guide Association. Folks, please help me or anybody else find who did this. You know, I'm real familiar with this terrain that's back there, okay? If you are able to hunt down one of these bull elk and kill it, I don't want to hear, oh, my family was starving, I had to take the meat. Okay, well, if you can be in that kind of terrain, you can get a job, okay? There's nothing wrong with you if you're in that kind of terrain, if you're hunting down an elk. You know, this is just, to me, I'm so angry about this. I just feel like a lot of you feel, when this was posted, people were posting, you know, we can't have anything in this county, you know, because of just idiots. The person who did this, I loathe what you did. I loathe who you are, and there's no excuse. There's just not. I'm sorry, there's not. And I hope they hunt you down, jack up the jail, stuff you under it, and leave you there for a very long time, because that's where you belong. I'm sorry I got emotional about that, but this just really personally made me very angry. Okay. How many minutes do we have left? 9 minutes. Okay. I promised to cover the school board meeting. Had a good school board meeting last night. Some new people sworn in. One of the things I wanted to cover is the new superintendent introduced himself. It looks like they're going to start recording, and I noticed they recorded last night. I tried to record because I'm an idiot. I pushed the wrong button. Nobody has anything up on YouTube yet, again, because they're having problems with Spectrum. NBR TV was there recording. They're having problems with Spectrum. So thank you, Spectrum. Nobody has the board meeting. If somebody can find the school board meeting posted somewhere, please share it to our Facebook page. I promise you we'll get it and share it as soon as we can. One of the things that came out of this meeting, and I'm going real quick here. Okay, there was a lot covered in this meeting. What I liked about is they are planning on, there was a motion made, they're going to vote on it next time, to go live on Facebook, just like physical court does. Thank you for making that motion. Okay, that is great. And they're going to be filming, and they're going to be put on YouTube. So, that. Another motion they made is, no, unless emergencies, there's not going to be any raises voted on without a month's notice. In other words, you got to bring it up. Then a month has to go by. It has to be, so the newspaper can post it. Truth or Politics can cover it. It can get out in the community. The board members can have feedback, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. Then a month later, at least a month, they vote on it. I think that's excellent. Except for, there is emergencies that happen and they have to pay for stuff. A tornado or a leak or something like that. You gotta have to. I'm not talking about that. But raises. Also creating positions. If you're going to create a position, that board needs time to do research on the position. It needs to go out to the public. Everybody needs to see, hey, we got a chance for a new position here. And if it's a grant, fine, free's good. I'm all for free. But, these kind of decisions should not be, let's bring it up and vote on it tonight. One of the things that concerned me is you had one of the new board members. It was either the last meeting or the meeting before last. I kind of watched it. It's towards the end, and I posted that one. Somebody else got it. He said, well, I don't know much about this. Can we not table this to the next meeting? That was a reasonable request. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know of any emergency where you have to create a position the same night and vote on it. I just don't get that. If there's a grant and it's fully paid for, then you know ahead of time. You don't know, oh, tonight we found out there's a grant, we got to vote on it tonight. I mean, really? That don't sound reasonable. So they made a motion, somebody did. I think it was the new president, or what are they? Not chairman. The new chairman made a motion also that any new positions, you have to announce it. There has to be a month, and then they vote on it. You know, I think that that's great. I really like that, and it's going to be filmed. So I know there was some other things that were brought up. I'm trying to remember what else was brought up. There was a whole bunch of things they covered. Go ahead.
What about the actual hiring process? Because I know in the past, and I don't know what the current ones are doing, but there has been times that a position will be created, but it's already filled by a person who's related to somebody else.
Yeah, and that's why I think these positions, a new position needs to be posted. And he made that motion last night. I think, I may be wrong here because I was tired. I'm pretty sure they made a motion concerning that too, that these positions be posted and a month go by so they can get a lot of applicants in. And that's the way it should be also. I'm pretty sure he made that motion. If I'm wrong, guys, I'm sorry. Somebody tell me. You guys watching, type in, you're wrong. He didn't make that motion. But I think they made, a motion to vote on that for next month too. Again, maybe there is some emergency situation that you get money, you just found out about it, and you got to vote on it. Okay. But you better prove that emergency up and have a good reason for that. Otherwise, I just think that I like these, personally, I like these motions. I think that the public should get a chance to weigh in on any raises. And did I mention raises already? Raises. Okay. Another motion they made, no raises voted on unless there's a month that goes by. In other words, you got to bring it up, bring it to the board. Go ahead. 4 minutes. Oh, 4 minutes. Bring it to the board, and then a month has to go by. That's so Eugenia can cover it, we can cover it, the board gets feedback. You need to learn about these raises, who they're going to, and everything, and then they vote on it. That's fair. I don't see anything wrong with that. So raises, positions, and what else was it? Something else. Anyway, not management by emergency, unless it's a real emergency, and they're going to start filming. So I thought that was a really good board meeting, and we'll see what happens. They're going to vote on this their next board meeting. Oh, they're building a sports complex too, and I'm out of time. They're building a sports complex, which, and again, they did the right thing. Those board members are like, oh, wait a minute. Let's not vote on this tonight. This is a lot of money. I thought that they really handled that as a board, really cautious. They said, let's do a session where we all get together and learn more about this. So they scheduled a session where, I forget what they call it, like a training session, so they can learn more about these people coming in and doing this proposal on the building, how much it's going to cost. Is this the best way to go? Is there some way cheaper? This board really looks like they're trying to be good stewards of our money. So I think we got, 3 or 4 new people on there? I think 3 or 4 new people. So kudos so far to the new people coming in, and I was happy. So we'll see. But we're going to keep watching, and hopefully they'll keep posting and they'll start filming. And I know they were filming last night, and I know they haven't posted anything. And one of the insiders told me, well, that's because Spectrum. Thank you, Spectrum. So are we still live? We're still live. Spectrum, you kept us on.
Well, there's been glitches.
Is there glitches? Okay. For the live people, if you got tired of the glitches, this is going to be on YouTube tomorrow, and we'll post it everywhere. So we're doing our best here, and I'm pretty much out of time, ain't I? 2 minutes. Okay. So I can't believe I got through all this stuff. I really didn't think I'd make it through, and I know I shortcutted some of it, but we're going to keep following this. We're going to keep following the Somerset Police Department missing evidence, the KSP's investigations or lack thereof, these poor state troopers who their lives were ruined because they simply tried to get something done about, improper evidence, stealing of evidence. I mean, there's no other way to say it. This evidence is being stolen by somebody. And KSP, the question is KSP the agency to go investigate this when they got their own problems? And based on the investigation that I've seen so far, that they did on the Pulaski County Sheriff, I'm not impressed. Not impressed. So maybe when they send us, if they ever do, the response to the open records request. Maybe we'll get something. Believe you me, we will be doing shows on this and update it. And to the person that shot the elk, you know, I don't know. I almost cried when I heard about that. And I'm not a big baby. I mean, not much. I'm pretty tough. And I'm telling you, when I heard that somebody shot that elk, that just bugged me. Okay, folks, we will see you next time on Truth or Politics. Thank you for tuning in.